Next up, Rockwood 2025 G20 FBS, and we are going to look into maximizing some storage space. We got some room behind the range that I'm going to look into and take the cover off. I'm sure everybody who's gone to any kind of dealership, they love to show you the little slots in the back and ask you to guess what they're for. And even though they're not really that effective at holding knives, they're always really proud of themselves when they get to tell you that they're for holding knives. So you put knives in there, they rattle around in there, they don't really, I don't know, it's mediocre at best. So we're gonna try and maximize that a little bit. Open it up, see what we got back in there. All right, so this just these little screws, one here and one over here. I'll turn my light on that I did last time so you can see a little better. So you got just two screws here. You take that up and there's blocks underneath that hold this is screwed to. Let's take these out. You can see how much room we have underneath there, behind there. Maybe makes a little better use of that space. Yeah, plenty of room back there. I'm going to use this as a template, and I'll show you the little piece of wood that I got to put back there. I'm going to cut some holes in the wood and put little pockets or like cups basically, and something to store some of the longer tooled things, your spatulas, your serving spoons, that kind of thing. And then maybe just a little tray, one or two trays in the middle off to the side that you can store little things here and there. Something a little bit better than just dropping some giant butcher knives that nobody really uses in campers. Okay, inside now, where I can mark this up, there's that piece that I took off inside the trailer. So it's just a piece of composite, aka plastic. I don't think it's actual wood. At Home Depot, I picked up this walnut hobby board. It's about the same size, a little bit thinner, I think, but and we'll see if I end up having to do some reinforcing on the bottom after cutting holes in the thing. But this particular board, they had a lot of, they're all pre-cut on this side. They had a lot of selection in this, and I picked this one in particular just because it had some nice grain on it. I also did not get a couple of them that were there because they had big knots in the middle, and when you try and start cutting holes in it, whether it's rectangular holes or round holes, you hit those knots, they're gonna shatter the whole thing, especially when it's only this thick. So I'm gonna use the original one as a template, and I'll just lay that down on top, and you'll see that it's almost exactly the same width, which is handy, helpful, but it's a little longer than what we're going to use. So this one has a little bit of a mark on this side, so it's just more of a scratch. It'll probably come out if I sanded it off, but since I have to cut off the edge anyway, I'll go ahead and move this around and get this lined up and just make a mark right here, pencil. And, I'm going to do that after I turn the camera off because I can't do it very well one-handed. And then we'll cut this off, and I'll look into cutting some holes in it for some trays, drop-in cups, something to hold stuff a little more efficiently. Okay, so we're out here, tailgate of my truck, and got my saw. You grab a framer square, makes it a little easier to cut straight lines, especially with a blade that's that coarse on the circular saw. So I'm not that concerned about it. It is kind of thin, but I'm going to go slowly at full speed, and then I'll still sand off the edges, little burrs and splinters and stuff afterwards. I've got the AC running because it's a little warm out here, and hopefully here in a little while we'll be getting this thing ready to put in. Pretty good. What do you think? All right. I think we'll sand this edge off, make it look a little prettier. Okay, it's nice. Still got a little spot here for drill. Spot here. I'll do a little more sanding later after I get the holes cut in it. Just want to do a little bit of sanding now, because once I cut holes in it and cut sections out of it, it's going to be a little more flimsy. Hopefully it won't mean that I have to put some sort of strapping underneath it or something to reinforce it, but maybe it will. Let's see. So we have this little tray that my wife found on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description afterwards. But they're good solid trays, has a nice wide lip on it, so it's something that can just drop down inside. But I have to get the measurements for the minimum measurements to cut out. It's going to be a pretty significant amount. You can see, obviously, I'm not going to have to cut out for the lip, but it's still going to cut out a decent amount of the wood, and I want to make sure I'm not taking up so much that I've wrecked the structural integrity of it, and it's not going to, it'll cave in or it'll be flimsy. I'll probably go 3 3/8. By 6 even. All right, probably gonna do one here, and then a round one here and a round one here. But again, I don't want to take too much out of this so that it gets all flimsy once it's all cut out, because right now this is going to be the thinnest part. I'll give it just an inch over here and just over an inch here, and I mean it doesn't flex much. It is a hardwood, so it's walnut, so it's not oak by any means, and it's definitely not ipe, but it's a hardwood. It's not like I'm using pine or anything, so I think an inch on either side will work. Really the only way to find out is to do it. So now I have my box I'm going to take out. I'm taking all this out. I'll have to sand these lines off. That shouldn't be too difficult. It's one benefit to using a pencil. Okay, so I came back out to the truck. I put some blue tape around that edge for a couple reasons. It'll hopefully keep the edges from splintering up as much, and then also it'll give me a nice visual out here to know where to drill. This one says it's wood, a little fine tooth, not too aggressive. All right, so I finished cutting this out. There's a little bit of a lip right here, a little bit of a lip right here, so I'm probably going to sand this piece down a little bit. So this time, before I take a tape off, even I'm going to, see, this side fits all right. And this side I need to take a little bit off. So I can do that by sanding, taking this little lip out that you can see it kind of bumps up right there. So I'll just do that with sanding because I do want to run a sander around this whole edge anyway. Okay, so I sanded off edges a little bit here, sanded off a little bit in here, a little bit on here, a little bit on here. Not quite as easy with the random orbital sander just because it was so big, but I did use the lip of it to take down some here, take down some here. So let's see, here's our X's. So this is our top side. Drops right in there. A little bit of tension to push that down, which is good. Push that down, and then it doesn't come directly right out. It's still in there just a little bit. If I need to, I can still put some weather stripping or something around the inside of here. Maybe even, I'll start to say a little bead of caulk, but I probably don't want to put it in there permanently. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, this is coming out well. So still feels pretty solid. It's not flexing much at all, even though we've taken out this whole inside. So we'll see when I take out on the circle here, and probably a circle here for the deeper cups that are going to go in there to hold the spatulas, spoons, and such. So we'll get back to you when those come in. Okay, so another day's passed. We got our cups for our spoons and such, so these should work pretty well. We'll sit down in here, and then our cups and spoons will sit in the cup like this, and won't be rattling around. So I have this piece that we went over yesterday. This will sit right in here like this. Eventually this piece will sit right here. This little thing here, this will drop all the way down in here, and this one will drop all the way down in there. So what I'm looking at is this piece here, and where this one was over here. So that's where that screw hole was that we went over yesterday, where I put this little X right there. Well, I may not be using that after all, because if I am, you can see if I line that up, this cup is going to have to be way inside here. I can't put it in the middle. So these cups would end up being here and here, and it would leave very little room in between here and here. So I want to push these out a little bit here, and push this one out this way. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll take these out, and I'll end up putting these back in so that they end up being right about here. It gives support, a little support right here. So once these are all in here, and the weights of the stuff that's in there, this will be more or less here, and this guy will be more or less here. Give a little more support. So I'll probably actually put a screw down through here and down through here instead of around the outside. But again, that's why I use pencil here, so I could sand it off if I wanted to, which I will. And then when I stain it, you won't even know it was there. I screwed these in actually. When they come from the factory, there's actually staples in there. So previously, when I was looking at putting a pop-up drawer in here, I had taken all of these little blocks out and ended up having to put them back in when I realized my pop-up idea was not going to work. So before I did that, I snipped all of these staples are stapled up from the bottom. So these are all, I pried them all up from before, just with a little pry bar, pried them out, and then I put used screws to put them back so I could take them in and out a little more easily. So what I went with was a 3 7/8. You can see this is well going to go over the end, but it's not bigger than the lip. So the lip will hold it up. So I had to buy this. It's about $27 or something like that, just for this part. I have the arbor already in my other kit, so I'm going to use that here. So first, before I actually do that on this piece, I'm going to cut a hole in a piece of scrap to make sure that it fits well with this cup. Mandatory to hit it twice just to make sure it works. Nice and easy. Moment of truth is that. Perfect. Not a whole lot of wiggle down the side there. Pretty good. Maybe you can see through it. See through? All right. So, see through. Look at my cross. It should be with a light line just around. Doesn't need to be perfect. I just want to make sure that it looks good before I cut it. just a light line around it. You can see, get a good idea where it's going to be. And we got plenty of room between where the top of our circle is going to be and where our lip is going to be underneath. Again, remember this is going to be underneath here, so it just needs to clear so that it's not sticking up like this, so then I can't get that back in there. That makes sense. This will actually be like that, flush with this edge. Cool. Let's do the other side. Doesn't look too bad. Kind of looks like a front grille of a Jeep, huh? All right, so we'll sand these edges off. We'll make sure get the other one also. Make sure it all looks good. Give me just a second. All right, so now we got 1 cup, 2 cups, and a little tray in the middle. Not bad. Cool. And then I got the blocks from the inside that I took out. This one I labeled R for right. So this one will be on the right. This one over here. And this one labeled left will be on the left side. So these will sit in there. I'll screw these down to that cleat that's inside, and then I'll screw this down to these pieces. I'll go ahead and get these cleats measured out, or these little blocks measured out and attached to the cleat inside. Then I'll measure out where I want to put my screw holes for this top piece in here. Okay. So I'm going to measure out where the block should go. So I'm going to make marks in this cleat where the outside edge of this cup goes, because I don't want to put this one. Let's see, right side, left side. We'll put these on either side like this, because this side's already going to be supported by the countertop sitting on top of the countertop. So the middle part, the spongy part, is what I want to cinch down there. Okay, that's going to work. I definitely want to drill pilot holes for these bits, because that's already starting to crack back there. You could hear it cracking as I was putting it in. Got it good and solid in there. So I feel good about that. So drop our trays in there. For now, time to pull this thing back apart. Take all the pieces off, sand it off, and here's an example. This is the scrap piece that I pulled off the end of this, and I went and got some really dark stain to see if we wanted to match more of this, this kind of stuff, or some light stain if we wanted to match more of the countertop, the wall, this sidewall here. So I got both of these. Matches the sidewall pretty well. You can still see the texture, the grain, even though I used the dark. But I think just to lighten it up in here a little bit, because that looks pretty nice against this as well, we're going to go ahead and use the whitewash. So I'll whitewash it down. This is obviously not varnished over the top, so after I get it all whitewashed, then I'll spray it down with some satin finish as well, so that way it'll weatherproof it. That way if anything kind of washes over from the sink or anything, we're not going to damage the wood. All right, so here is the finished product after it's all sanded, stained. Got some lacquer sprayed onto it too. So we're going to go put this thing in and call it a day. All right. Turn back on here. And away we go. I'm going to use these original screws that were in there. This was the one that held this block on. Right. I'm using the same black screws. And we're going to get this in this and tight. Make sure you're clear here. In here, make sure we got enough room to put our trays in. Squeeze these two pieces together so there's no gap between them. And there we go. It matches up with the rest of the wood. Nice and firm in there. All right. Not too bad. Matches the wood pretty nicely. I think the black screws kind of set off pretty well with the black appliances and switch and light, or the window and everything. So a little bit better storage. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy.